Welcome to Spinning Values, a podcast brought to you by Beekaylon Synthetics, and I'm your host Rajeev. This is a show where we talk about sustainability and innovations in the textile industry. Do you know that every single day, 44 million pounds of synthetic textiles are sent to the landfills in the US alone? So what if we make these textiles biodegradable? To discuss this, we have Alastair Drew from CiCLO Textiles. Synthetic yarns, when combined with CiCLO, becomes biodegradable. According to one of the founders of this company, and I quote, CiCLO fibers were invented from a conviction that built to last shouldn't mean here forever. Let us find out more about CiCLO. Hello and welcome to the podcast, Alastair.
Hi, good morning.
Yep, this is good evening here. I'm from Auckland. You're in Hong Kong.
Yes. That's just turned midday actually, so it's actually technically it's good afternoon.
All right. Awesome. So, can we go into the show with a bit of an understanding about your role and what you do?
Sure. Yeah, my name's Alastair Drew, and I represent the CiCLO business in Asia and Europe. And most of my work is business development, developing relationships with brands and retailers in the apparel and garment sector, as well as developing relationships with supply chain partners, one of which we're here to talk about today, Beekaylon. So that's really my job, trying to convince people of the technology, get over the messages, develop commercial relationships.
Right. So, focusing on CiCLO to start with, what exactly does your company do? Can you give us a brief overview?
Sure, yeah. Basically, CiCLO technologies reduce pollution in the oceans, plastic pollution in the oceans, and reduce the persistence of synthetic textiles that go into landfill. I mean, basically, CiCLO technology creates biodegradable hotspots on the surface of the polyester. And the CiCLO itself is the thing that we sell to fiber manufacturers, and they embed our technology into the polyester during the melt extrusion phase of the manufacturing process. So, I mean, fundamentally, we are a sustainable fiber.
Right. So the product that you manufacture or your technology is basically combined with the synthetic yarn that Beekaylon produces.
Yeah, that's correct. They embed our technology. We sell them what is called a master batch, and they use a very small percentage of that to manufacture polyester filament yarns during their process in their factory.
So, looking at the supply chain and the whole production process, how do you see the relationship with Beekaylon and why is it important in the whole green space?
I mean, Beekaylon is a very important business partner for us. We call them a certified manufacturer of CiCLO yarns. Basically, we rely pretty heavily on Beekaylon to professionally represent CiCLO in the Indian market, and they conduct the sales and marketing activity, representing us to their customers. I mean, they've got a very wide customer base in India, and we work with them to reach their customers and potentially other customers outside of India, of course, as well, where they export to. And of course, their primary role is to manufacture good quality fibers containing CiCLO technology. Our role really is to provide the education, the technology, and also do conduct tests on all of the fibers that they make. So they will send us a sample from each batch they make, and we test that. And that's important for our customers. Our customers want to be reassured that we are testing and checking the product and issuing the right certification to Beekaylon, and then Beekaylon issue those certificates to their customers. I mean, they've been great to work with. They're very focused on sustainable innovation, and they're great at marketing as well, hence this podcast.
Awesome. That's great to hear, Alastair. Yeah. So let's deep dive into the technology that your company markets and produces. So there's many aspects of modern life which are known to cause environmental harm, like fossil fuels, disposable plastic, etc. But the impact of synthetic textiles is less obvious, right? So I read an interesting line from your website which says, made to last doesn't have to mean here forever. So in this context, how does biodegradable process actually work?
I mean, it is quite a complex topic. And although I'm technical sales, I'm not necessarily a scientist that understands or can explain the deep science here. But I can give you a very, not high level, but a good overview of the process. And basically, biodegradation is the ability of a substance to be broken down both physically and or chemically by naturally occurring microorganisms such as bacteria, resulting in the creation of basic natural elements. For example, some of these basic natural elements include things like carbon dioxide, methane, water, minerals, and even some new microbial cells, which we call biomass. And really, for biodegradation to happen, we kind of need three things, I guess, if we're going to try and keep it simple. We need microbes that are present in the environment. We need moisture, and we need time, because biodegradation doesn't happen fast. It happens at the pace of nature. It's quite a slow process. And of course, for our products, we don't necessarily want it to happen fast. Much quicker than never, really, is the key thing. Biodegradation can occur in aerobic conditions, meaning environments that require oxygen. And those are environments like the ocean. And also what we call anaerobic conditions, meaning environments without oxygen. An example of that is landfill, where many of our textiles end up. So biodegradation is really a natural process where microorganisms break down materials. And to summarize it, I would say the molecular structure of organic material is broken down by microorganisms, creating biogas and a leftover matter called biomass.
Right. So in this process, how does CiCLO fibers, how does it work? Like you add additives into the yarn and then it becomes biodegradable?
That's correct. Yes. The addition of our technology into the fibers creates lots of, if you call hotspots in the fiber that will enable microbes to interact with the polyester when it's in its final resting place, either the ocean or soil or landfill. And that kind of encourages the microbes and the bacteria and the enzymes to kind of consume the plastic or see the plastic as food. And so we are accelerating a process significantly by the addition of CiCLO into polyester.
So I just wanted to, kind of clarify certain terms here, Alastair, because so many terms are being bandied about in the media, on the internet, and many of them used interchangeably. Having said that, can you explain what the difference between biodegradable and compostable, and are CiCLO fibers compostable?
Let's first of all say that CiCLO fibers are not really designed to be compostable. And there's a good reason for that. Because industrial composting is not the usual end-of-life method for textiles. Textiles simply don't go into a composting environment. But composting is aerobic biodegradation, but it's different to ocean or soil biodegradation, because ocean and soil are natural environments, whereas composting is controlled. So really, it's not a viable solution for textiles. Composting is used for organic matter, mostly, such as food waste, trees, grass, branches, things like that. But textiles are not allowed into a composting environment. So we kind of don't really focus on composting. We focus on more natural environments such as soil, seawater, and also obviously landfill, where a lot of textiles do end up.
But having said that, we have 44 million pounds of synthetic textiles being sent to the landfill every single day. Won't it be better if they get composted? Or do you see that technology coming out in the future?
I know that some companies are using the composting test as a method of marketing and advertising their textiles. But at the moment, I can't see composting or industrial composting accepting fabrics or garments.
All right. In that case, my next question flows from that. Can textiles manufactured using CiCLO technology, can they be recycled?
In theory, yes. And the reason I say in theory is that many garments currently are made from a wide range of different fibers, synthetic fibers, natural fibers. And a lot of garments have buttons and zips and fasteners. So actually, recycling of garments is pretty complex. There are really other barriers to commercial, widely adopted recycling of textiles. We won't be standing in the way of that.
Right. It's possibly because the other material that's like you mentioned, zips and buttons and such, which have to be removed before it becomes recyclable, right?
Yeah, in a lot of cases. I mean, I know some companies are quite rightly focusing on producing a garment, let's say, all from one material, such as all polyester, which then would make it easier to recycle for sure. And if that was possible and became viable in the longer term, a total polyester garment, then the addition of CiCLO wouldn't stop that product being recycled.
Right. Or we can just reduce the number of clothes that we buy.
Yeah, we should be recycling our products. And really, to be honest with you, many people already do recycling themselves. They pass on their garments to family and friends, or they give them to charity. You know, these clothes often have a really useful second and third life already. So that's a kind of recycling. I guess we call that, I think, probably downcycling. Even at the end of that second or third life at the moment, a lot of those products are going, into landfill. I think only 15% of garments and textiles downcycled into natural fibers, such most of those are cotton and wool. So at the moment, biodegradation of textiles in landfill is a reasonable solution for these garments that make their way to landfill. And until there is a mass adoption of alternatives, I can see CiCLO is providing a really good benefit. Plus, of course, CiCLO can be used to enhance the biodegradation of microfibers that are being released into the atmosphere and into the oceans. We do support recycling, and we want our products to be helping the total sustainable solution.
Here is my next question. Are CiCLO fibers toxic? And what happens to the microfibers? Does that become biodegradable as well?
Fibers that contain CiCLO that find their way into the drains and down through into the wastewater treatment plants and ultimately potentially out into the ocean and waterways, they will be biodegradable in this seawater environment and in the soil environment. And I know also, just to say, there are many companies working on reducing the shedding of fibers through new constructions of fabrics, new finishing processes. I know some people are even developing washing machines that try to capture these fibers. There are garment factories that are also washing and dyeing. They are starting to look seriously at filtering all of their effluent to prevent these fibers going into the ocean. But, it is happening, and there's more and more research being done to measure the amount of fiber that's given off during the washing process. And CiCLO is a fantastic solution for those fibers to biodegrade. And sort of pick up on, I think the first point is that, is it toxic, or does it cause any harm? Yes, no. We've done a third-party testing. There's a company in Germany called Okotex, and they've researched and reviewed the CiCLO product and issued us with an Eco Passport certificate, which basically checks to make sure there's no restricted substances or harmful chemicals. We've passed that, so there's none of those issues at all. In addition, we've done some long-term testing. We've tested what's left over. We talked about water and carbon dioxide being given off and some cellular structure. And we've tested that to make sure that's not giving any toxic byproducts. So we're pretty confident we've got the necessary proof for brands and retailers that they require so that we can demonstrate that we're not harming the environment.
My final question before we close our conversation is that the products that other producers downstream take Beekaylon yarn infused with your technology, the products they make out of that, let's say, carpets or garments or whatever it may be, does it affect its durability? Does it affect its quality? Or is there any such impact?
So talking about downstream from Beekaylon, I guess the first thing to say is that all of those downstream fabric mills or dyeing houses or garment factories. They don't have to do anything different. They can use their existing manufacturing and processing machinery and equipment, and nothing needs to change as a result of CiCLO. And we don't find any difference in physical properties or tensile strength or any applications or usage conditions that change. We've had a lot of development, particularly in the garment sector, and a lot of fabric has been made and tested by our brand partners and retailers, and they've all passed things like wear tests and wash tests that these brands carry out. There's no performance loss. There's no loss of durability. CiCLO biodegradation does not happen in the supply chain. It only happens when the fibers reach the end of their life in the ocean or soil or landfill, when we have the presence of microbes and moisture and time. So we're not going to see any biodegradation in our supply chain or in our closets or in our warehouses. So we don't need to worry about that. So we think CiCLO fibers strike a balance between high performance durability and sustainability. And I think, as you nicely said earlier on, our saying is that it's made to last doesn't mean here forever.
All this technology, Alastair, is kind of downstream. Unless we as humans use less products, use less clothes, then the whole landfills will be filled up with less textiles. That might change the whole landscape. Am I right? What do you think?
So yeah, I do see the need for more durable clothing that you're going to use time and time again rather than discard easily and quickly. I see the circular economy developing. I see chemical recycling developing. I see that the whole industry, right through the supply chain of garments and textiles, is doing a lot. We're not the only ones. CiCLO isn't the only one that's putting a lot of effort into helping with this issue. Whether it's new retail solutions where people hire or rent clothing rather than buy it. I mean, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of second-hand clothes being sold between peer-to-peer platforms and the digital environment. So I think there's lots going on. It's a really kind of exciting industry to be in with lots of innovation. But at the end of the day, yeah, we humans, even people like me that aren't millennials, older consumers, need to adapt and reduce our footprint.
Thanks, Alastair. Thanks for your time. That was a really enlightening conversation. How can listeners get more information about CiCLO? Where can we get information? Can you tell our listeners?
Yes, obviously we have a website, www.CiCLOTextiles.com. So, yeah, please connect with us. And obviously connect, if you are in the market in India, then connect with Beekaylon. The people there will be able to support the initial inquiry. And if the inquiry goes deep into the technology, then I can support.
Thanks, Alastair. That was really helpful and enlightening, as I said. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for listening.
So that is the end of episode 1 of Spinning Values, a podcast brought to you by Beekaylon Synthetics. Thank you, Alastair, for joining us and talking to us about such a crucial topic. In the coming episodes, we will be talking to companies that are coming out with such innovative solutions for problems that not only impact the textile industry, but everyone on this pale blue planet. So until next time, reduce, reuse, or recycle. This is Rajeev signing off.